You've watched endless productivity videos, devoured goal-setting frameworks, and followed every expert's advice. But there's something unsettling happening when you share your dreams too early. That excitement, that motivation, it just disappears. Like someone poked holes in your balloon before you could even get off the ground. Today, we're going to unpack something that might change how you approach your most important goals forever. This isn't another motivational speech. This is about the hidden psychology that can either fuel your success or quietly sabotage it. Why sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is keep your mouth shut. I'm going to share with you a method that flips conventional wisdom on its head. What you've been told about sharing goals might actually be working against you. And by the end of this video, you'll have a practical framework to turn your silence into your secret weapon. Let's start with something that might surprise you. In 2009, psychologist Peter Gallwitzer from New York University published research that shattered a common belief about goal achievement. He found that when people announced their intentions to others, they were significantly less likely to follow through. Here's what happened. Participants who told others about their goals felt a premature sense of satisfaction if they'd already accomplished something just by talking about it. Their brains released dopamine, the reward chemical, simply from sharing the vision. But here's the kicker: this early reward actually reduced their motivation to do the actual work. Think about the last time you excitedly told someone about a new project, a fitness goal, or a career change. Remember that rush you felt? That was your brain giving you a hit of satisfaction before you'd earned it. And unconsciously, it whispered, "Well, that felt good. Maybe I don't need to work so hard now." But wait, doesn't conventional wisdom say we should share our goals for accountability? That telling others creates pressure to follow through? Here's where it gets interesting. The research shows this works only under very specific conditions. Random sharing with casual friends or family who nod and say that's great actually backfires. But strategic sharing with the right people can indeed help. This brings us to what I call the work first, talk later method. It's not about becoming a hermit or rejecting all feedback. It's about being strategic with when, how, and with whom you share your developing ideas. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. Sarah, a 34-year-old marketing manager, decided she wanted to start a consulting business. Her natural instinct was to tell everyone: her coworkers, her family, even acquaintances at coffee shops. Each conversation felt productive, but nothing concrete happened. Months passed, and she found herself making the same announcement to new people while her business plan gathered digital dust. Then she tried something different. She committed to working on her business plan for 30 days in complete silence. No announcements, no casual mentions, no "I'm thinking about" conversations. Just quiet, focused work. Something shifted. Without the social pressure and the dopamine hits from talking, she found herself actually doing the work. Here's the framework she used, and it's what we're going to break down step by step. The work first, talk later method. Step 1, define your silence period. Before you share anything, commit to a minimum viable period of silence. For smaller goals, this might be 2 weeks. For major life changes, consider 30 to 90 days. During this time, you work on your goal without external validation or input. Why does this work? Neuroscientist Dr. People, Teresa Amabiel's research on inner work life shows that progressive and small, private progresses, the strongest motivator for continued effort. When you work in silence, every small step forward becomes its own reward system, building genuine momentum rather than borrowed excitement. Step 2, create your proof of concept. This is where the rubber meets the road. Instead of sharing ideas, you share results. Instead of announcing intentions, you demonstrate capability. A proof of concept is your smallest viable demonstration that your goal is not just a fantasy, it's a reality in progress. Let's say you want to start a photography business. Your proof of concept isn't telling people you're going to be a photographer. It's taking consistently good photos for 30 days and maybe completing one small paid project. For someone wanting to get fit, it's not announcing a workout plan, it's actually completing 2 weeks of consistent exercise before telling anyone. Forrester research found that proof-of-concept approaches in business lead to 73% higher success rates compared to traditional planning methods. The same principle applies to personal goals. When you have evidence, even small evidence, you're sharing from a place of strength rather than hope. Step 3. Choose your inner circle strategically. Here's where the talk later part comes in, but it's highly strategic. Once you have your proof of concept, you carefully select 1 to 3 people for feedback. These aren't cheerleaders or casual supporters. These are people who can provide genuine insight, constructive criticism, or relevant expertise. The key is what researchers call implementation intentions. Instead of general sharing, you're asking specific questions. I've been working on X for 30 days and achieved Y. What am I not seeing? Where are the potential blind spots? This type of strategic consultation strengthens your approach rather than diluting your motivation. Step 4. Test in small circles before going public. Even after you've built momentum and gathered feedback, resist the urge to broadcast widely. Test your refined approach with a slightly larger but still controlled group. This might be beta testing with a few potential customers or sharing your fitness journey with a small accountability group. The research on social facilitation shows that the presence of others can either enhance or impair performance, depending on how well established the behavior is. For new skills or goals, too much social attention creates pressure that actually reduces performance. But for established skills, appropriate social presence can boost results. Here's what this looked like for Marcus, a 28-year-old teacher who wanted to transition into tech. Instead of announcing his career change, he spent 3 months quietly learning to code every morning before work. His proof of concept was building 3 functional applications. Only then did he share his progress with 2 mentors in the tech industry for feedback. After refining his approach based on their input, he tested his skills with a small group of potential employers through informational interviews. By the time he made his career transition public, he wasn't sharing a dream, he was sharing a transition already in progress. The confidence was real because the competence was real. But let's address the elephant in the room. What about the fear that working in silence means missing out on valuable opportunities or connections? What if someone could help you, but they don't know you need help? This is where strategic curiosity comes in. Instead of announcing your goals, you can ask strategic questions. Marcus didn't announce he was changing careers, but he did ask colleagues, "What do you think are the most important skills in tech right now?" He gathered information without revealing his intentions, keeping his options open while staying focused. Another concern people have is feeling isolated or losing motivation without external encouragement. Here's the truth. If your motivation depends entirely on external validation, it's not strong enough to sustain long-term success anyway. The work first, talk later method helps you build intrinsic motivation, the kind that doesn't need constant feeding from others. Dr. Edward Desi's research on self-determination theory shows that intrinsic motivation that comes from internal satisfaction rather than external rewards is far more sustainable and leads to better long-term outcomes. The silence period isn't about cutting yourself off from support. It's about building the internal engine that will carry you through the inevitable challenges ahead. Let's talk about timing. How do you know when to break your silence? Here are 3 clear indicators. First, you have consistent evidence of progress, not just one good day or one successful attempt, but a pattern that demonstrates reliability. Second, you can articulate not just what you're doing, but why it's working. You understand your own process well enough to describe it to others and potentially adjust it based on feedback. Third, you've encountered specific challenges that would genuinely benefit from outside perspective. You're not seeking validation, you're seeking solutions to real problems you've identified through experience. There's one more piece to this puzzle that most people miss entirely. The quality of your eventual sharing changes dramatically when you've done the work first. Instead of sharing hopes and plans, you're sharing insights and lessons. Instead of asking people to believe in your potential, you're demonstrating your capability. When Sarah finally did start talking about her consulting business, the conversations were completely different. She wasn't asking people to imagine her success, she was describing techniques that were already working. She wasn't seeking encouragement for future ventures, he was sharing lessons from a business that already existed. The response was immediate and concrete. Referrals, partnerships, and opportunities that never would have emerged from theoretical conversations. This shift from theoretical to practical communication creates what researchers call social proof evidence that your approach is legitimate and worth others' attention and support. But this social proof is earned, not borrowed. Now, let's be honest about the challenges. Working in silence can feel lonely sometimes. You'll have moments of self-doubt without the usual cheerleaders. You might question whether you're on the right track without constant external validation. Here's how to handle these moments. Create private progress markers. Keep a simple record of what you're learning and achieving. Sarah kept a weekly log of business development activities and insights. Marcus tracked coding challenges completed and concepts mastered. These private victories become your evidence when doubt creeps in. Also, remember that silence doesn't mean isolation. You can still consume educational content, read about others' experiences, and learn from experts in your field. You're not cutting off all input, you're just controlling the output until you have something substantial to share. The psychological benefits extend beyond just goal achievement. People who practice strategic silence report feeling more authentic and confident. They're not performing their goals for others, they're genuinely living them. This authenticity becomes magnetic when they do choose to share. There's also the element of surprise and respect that comes with the work first, talk later approach. When you finally reveal what you've been working on, people are impressed not just by the results, but by your discipline and commitment. It demonstrates a level of seriousness that talking about plans never could. Let's address one final concern. What if you're working on something that truly requires collaboration from the start? Some goals genuinely do need other people involved from the beginning. Even in these situations, you can apply modified principles. Instead of broadcasting your intentions widely, you can approach specific individuals with concrete proposals. Instead of saying, "I want to start a community garden," you might say, "I've researched community gardens and identified 3 potential locations with appropriate soil and water access. Would you be interested in visiting these sites with me to evaluate feasibility?" The difference is approaching people with preparation rather than just enthusiasm. You're inviting them into a structured process rather than asking them to join a vague aspiration. For those of you who are thinking, "This sounds like I'm being secretive or deceptive," let me clarify something important. This isn't about hiding your values or being dishonest. This is about respecting both your own development process and other people's time and attention. When you share half-formed ideas or fluctuating plans, you're essentially asking others to invest emotional energy in something that might change tomorrow. The work first, talk later approach means that when you do share, you're offering something stable and substantial that deserves their attention. Think of it like cooking for guests. You don't invite people over to watch you figure out the recipe and experiment with ingredients. You practice the dish, refine it, and then invite them to enjoy the result. Your goals deserve the same level of preparation and respect. As we wrap up, let me leave you with this thought. In our age of constant sharing and social media documentation, choosing silence is almost radical. It's a declaration that not everything needs to be performed or validated by others. Some things often, the most important things, develop in quiet spaces, away from the noise of opinions and expectations. Your dreams don't need an audience to become reality. They need attention, commitment, and genuine effort. The work first, talk later method isn't about hiding your light under a bushel. It's about building a fire strong enough that when you do reveal it, it illuminates everything around it. Start with one goal, something you're excited about but haven't announced yet. Commit to 30 days of silence while you work on creating your proof of concept. Notice how it feels to work without external validation. Pay attention to how your motivation changes when it's purely internal. And remember, the most powerful words are often the ones we choose not to say until we've earned the right to say them through action. You'll find relevant research links and additional resources in the description below to help you dive deeper into the psychology behind this approach. I'd love to hear about your experience with strategic silences. Share your insights in the comments, and let's learn from each other's journey toward more authentic achievement.